Hello, rail fans. We made a trip down to Decatur, Alabama yesterday. This is probably our fourth or fifth visit down to Decatur since around May of 2020. I will say that yesterday was a little more lively than the previous visits we've had, and that just comes down to timing. Decatur gets a lot of trains that come through every day, as it's kind of a pinch point for both CSX and Norfolk Southern. Now, CSX has the most traffic. But both railroads have to share this lift bridge across the Tennessee River, and so it is kind of a pinch point. It's a slow-moving bridge. Both railroads meet up on the south side of the bridge and then split apart on the north side, or vice versa. This first train here you see is QO28. QO28, as you well know from watching our videos, is a daily intermodal train that goes from Fairburn, Georgia up to Bedford Park, Illinois. This would have been in Nashville probably 3 to 4 hours after we saw this in Decatur. Normally we see this a little bit after lunchtime. This was right around 8 or 8:30 if I remember correctly. We're standing on a pedestrian bridge. This is just about as close as you can get to the lift bridge on the northern side of Decatur, south side of the bridge. The lift bridge is pretty interesting to watch operate. We've seen it rise up and then lower back down a couple times. The middle section rises up so that lake traffic, or river traffic I mean, can get across. The lift bridge was built around 78 or 79 by the Southern Railway. It's currently owned by Norfolk Southern, even though CSX has the majority of the traffic. From a little bit of research I've done, it appears that the first bridge on the spot was built during the Civil War, or was actually before the Civil War, but was burned down during the Civil War, and then replaced with a pontoon bridge, which was replaced in 1885 with a swing bridge, and then that stayed there for almost 100 years before it was replaced with the drawbridge, lift bridge that is there today. And while certainly this is a slow-moving crossing across the river here, how about that house off to the right? What an amazing house, and you can only hope that the person that lives there is a rail fan. Certainly they may not be anymore after having to listen to the trains 24 hours a day come right next to their house like that, but amazing view of you know, everything in the area, everything that the area has to offer with the river there and with the railroad coming through. So definitely a spot that I'd keep my eye on if I ever see a for sale sign in the yard. So after QO28 came by, we left the pedestrian bridge and shifted just a bit to the east to Rhodes Ferry Park, which is right on the side of the river in Decatur. We pulled up to a dead-end street that's right next to a picnic pavilion that they have, and our intention was just to watch the lift bridge to see if it would go up anytime soon, as my daughter was curious to see that. She had not seen that in previous trips. It's actually her first time in Decatur. We were surprised, though, to hear some bells and eventually a train horn off to our right. And there is a local track that is utilized by CSX to move local freight around. It goes right next to the river, and it's right next to the park, which is a little bit scary. There's really not a boundary line or any kind of fence or anything to separate the park from these rails. They do move very slow, but still seems like a little bit of a dangerous situation with kids playing there in the park. But it was very cool for us to see. Again, was surprised. I knew that this track was utilized, but had not previously seen it. Certainly didn't expect to see one on this day. Very cool consist up front. We had 6410 as the leader. It's a GP40-2, originally delivered in 1978 to the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad. 2343 was second out. It's a rebuilt EMD road slug. It was originally a GP38 delivered in 1970 to the L&N. And then we had 6516, which is a rebuilt EMD GP40-3. Was originally delivered in 1975 as a GP40-2 to the Baltimore in Ohio. Honestly, a little bit surprised at the length of this local train. Most of the locals that we've seen running around different places are not extremely long trains. I know that from time to time, depending on how much industry they have to work, that they can be. And again, this is not super long, but was more than the typical 5 to 6 to 7 cars we often see on locals as they're making their moves. Leaving cars out of industry and bringing the empties back in, or bringing the loaded cars back in that need to be shipped somewhere else. So after seeing the local come by Rhodes Ferry Park, we shifted down to the old Decatur Depot, which we'll talk just a little bit more about as the next train rolls by. But this is a pretty interesting site. It's probably not the most picturesque view, the one that we're at right now, but this is where the CSX and Norfolk Southern lines join together as they make their approach to River Junction and the bridge. So what you're seeing here is Q208, again another train that we would have seen in Nashville, and actually he's followed by Q026, which we did not film because we decided to drive to another location in Decatur instead. So again, all of these trains that we've seen, with the exception of that local, are trains that would eventually be knocking on our door in Nashville 3 to 4 hours or so later. Q208 is a daily intermodal and auto rack train that moves from Baldwin, Florida up to Louisville, Kentucky. It's pretty long on this day, and again, that river crossing across that lift bridge is a really slow movement as far as miles per hour, so it takes a little bit of time for these trains to make the move across. So after we see this train, we're going to go to one other location in Decatur, show you a short clip of something that we drove past, and then we're going to come back over here to the depot. We'll talk a little bit more about the depot's history, what it's currently used for, as well as have one more train in Decatur for the day. So we decided to explore around and check out the NS yard there in Decatur, and encountered some no trespassing signs, so we turned around at the next opportunity and got back out of there. But we did see some derailed hopper cars laying on their side. Not sure where they came from, but obviously damaged and with their wheels laying around on the ground. As you can see here, we've now moved back over to the Decatur Depot. It's actually the first time I filmed it from this side. So a lot going on. You had the crossing gates in the background, you've got the depot itself. In the foreground here, you've got G202 making its move from north to south. Unfortunately, we had a car pull up to the crossing and pretty much block our view of the train, so we did shift the camera to watch the train as it moved further south and around the bend here, and then it will descend into Decatur and the CSX yard there. A little bit more information about the depot. It was originally built in 1905 by the Southern Railroad. It was a shared Union depot. The Southern and the L&N both shared it. It was recently renovated about the mid-2010s, and it won the Alabama Main Street's 2015 and 2016 Historic Preservation Project of the Year awards. It's currently in use as a museum on one side, which I really look forward to someday getting to visit. It's been closed due to COVID every one of the trips that I've made to Decatur, so we have not been able to get in there. Supposedly there's a lot of really neat artifacts, and then there is an opportunity to go out the back of the depot. There is a iron fence to keep you safe, but it gets you really close to the tracks there. There's some benches, tables, and so it'd be kind of neat to sit there with the camera and get some as they come behind the depot. The other half of the building is actually being used by the Decatur Police Department. It's a secure police precinct. They have a large parking lot across the street where they keep most of their cars. And so it's definitely a very safe place to railfan from. The police certainly understand what the railfans are doing there. Oftentimes that's a concern when you're out and about, but never any questions or anybody that bothers you at this location. I will say, as we spent the day in and around Decatur, we actually went out to Cortland. Didn't catch any trains there, but did stop at a couple other places. Actually had a couple of law enforcement officers pull up to check on us, which for us is kind of rare. Don't normally get a lot of that. But both of them extremely nice gentlemen. Really just wanted to make sure we didn't have a flat tire or anything going on. And as soon as we told them what we were doing, they told us good luck and moved on. So definitely appreciate the friendliness. Nobody trying to run us off from anywhere. And generally seemed like they were looking out for us. So thank you to the local law enforcement there in that Decatur area around northern Alabama there. Thanks for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click on the thumbs up below to give us a like. Also, please click on the Rusty Boxcar logo on the right side of the screen to get a subscription to the channel. And send us a comment. Really enjoy reading all your comments, and I try to respond to each one of them. Thanks, and have a nice day.